Hi Shanice, how you doing today? It's Iris L. If you're new to my channel, hopefully you want to see my face again, so hit that subscribe button. And if you're returning, well, thank you for returning. Now today's vlog is about a really, actually, seriously, I'm gonna say traumatic experience, honestly, because like to this day, it's still affecting me, even though this is something that happened to me when I was 18. I'm literally 26 now, so that's in 2 years, it's about 10 years, and I promise you this. Ooh, actually, let me just get into the story. So, super from the title, I was living in a shelter, and I had my phone stolen from the. I always mentally call her a camp counselor, but it's obviously not a camp, it's a shelter. So, obviously, like, I guess the head employee of the shelter. And so this is, I guess, how this story goes. The place is called Joanne's house because I don't give no f's about hiding, hiding its identity. It has been changed, and a lot of people, apparently, every single person who worked there, except for like a couple, have been like fired. But honestly, I definitely think that the organization probably hasn't changed much since then because, in the end of the day, it's still a shelter. Last but not least, it's still a shelter. So like, apparently, even some of the people who worked there were pretty corrupt. I'm not kidding. I actually have other stories of things that happened to people that I knew who actually stayed in that shelter before, but in this case, we're talking about just mine. So, I was staying in that shelter for about almost 4 weeks. They have this thing where if you stay there for 4 weeks, exactly the entire time you're supposed to be looking for an apartment and you're supposed to get yourself on some income. So in yeah, so I because I technically didn't make the 4 week mark, I had to leave, which is what they this is something they do. You gotta leave for like 3 days, and then if you really have no place to go, then you have the availability to re-register if they still have a bed. But by the time that usually happens, within those 3 days, they could end up giving up your bed if someone really needs it. Like, your role is to be there for 4 weeks, get your ass on some kind of like government assistance, and then find an apartment and get out of there. But like I said, I didn't end up hitting the mark. I ended up getting, I ended up basically staying home for those 3 days. The first day I wasn't home, but like that's a whole nother story that YouTube will never ever know. Because obviously there's some things that I'm just gonna keep inside my little Pandora's box, Pandora's box of calluses and growth, and that's definitely one of them. In the end of the day, it really helped me grow. Honestly, it was a necessary thing that happened because it allowed me to forge a new strength for myself. And then, that last but not least, those who I was engaged with at the time, and I don't literally mean be like engaged or something like that. I like mean those who I was around at the time. They not only got to learn their own karmatic lessons, but I got far more appreciation from it because I ended up being right. And I'm not going to get too deep in that because a lot of people who I may know watching this might start thinking I'm a potential narcissist again, because I know a lot of people who like to try to humble me or make me feel like I'm constantly trying to be right. Actually, there's a lot of situations I would prefer to be wrong. I really would, because I don't really sometimes, like when I do predict things, they're not always the most positive things. So, if anything, I'm actively working on being a positive manifester every single day. I do want to put more faith into this world. So, going back to my story, I was staying at the shelter and then had to leave for 3 days. But before I left, I had this cell phone that I just got from TELUS. It was about $1,200. It was literally the new iPhone 6 Plus, right? Yeah, smart. Living in a shelter, go get an iPhone 6 Plus. But like in my mind, that $0 off tab thing usually is a blessing. But in this specific case, obviously now I had a $1,200 debt on this phone. And I actually took the phone got broken while I was in the shelter. That's what the detail is. Like the screen, I have a bad habit of breaking screens, but this time I broke it and it wasn't functioning. Like it would glitch and turn like start changing colors and things like that if I was touching it too much. So with that said, I couldn't even function it. I couldn't use it anymore. So as I was like rushing out because like they weren't really into like people lounging around and not doing what they had to do right away, I passed the main person there who like everyone knew basically ran shit. Like she was the sternest person there. I actually had a lot of respect for this woman, but I lost a lot of my respect. And her name is Rebecca because I don't have no fucking shame in saying her name. So if she ever does see this because this blows up, Rebecca, you better listen to the rest of this story because I'm gonna just tell you how you still fucked with my life up to this day, okay? So with that said, I trusted her because she is the person who's running the show of this shelter. And I actually put a lot of trust in this woman. So I'm putting my phone on the counter. I said, Rebecca, this is broken. I know you have a little area where you lock things up and hide things away from people. Like it stays private, stays just towards the counselors. Counselor, see, there I go, calling her a counselor again. It stays just to the shelter employees. She goes, yeah. And I was like, can you put this phone in there? Like I can't use it and I'll be back within 3 days. Because I didn't have enough stuff, not time to pack my stuff either. Like they're telling me to go. Like I gotta go. Or they weren't telling me to go. I think I had to go. I think I just had to go. Like there's something I had to do, which obviously that is definitely something that I do and don't regret. It's like I don't regret it because that was the day that I got to look at everyone and be like, this is what's up. And I told everyone the motherfucking truth. And everything I said happened. Everything. Everything. And I'm never going to get my coping for that or anything like that. It's like I just got to see how karma really educated everyone. And that's honestly pretty exciting too. If you're someone who doesn't really get much coping because you end up being around people who don't really like to engage with their feelings or even talk about anything that's significantly important, that I'm just someone who really respects dishing into history so that you could see how you don't approach that situation again. Not everyone's that leveled up, so you're unfortunately going to have to go without coping sometimes. But with that said, I got to at least see the karmatic effect because God got his sister, okay? And I ended up giving Rebecca my phone to hold on to for the 3 days. And by the time I come back from the 3 days, it's someone who's not even there. She was supposed to be there. I'm pretty sure she was supposed to be there. Like all my life, I almost remember that I was supposed to meet her specifically because I just, when you live there for 4 weeks, you see everyone's schedule. Like, you know when they come in for work and stuff, right? So I come in and she's not her, and I ask where my stuff is, and they say everything's in the shed, and I look for it like crazy. I see all my stuff thrown into garbage bags, sitting in this dusty old spiderweb shed that they didn't even like have the courtesy to like keep it somewhere inside the shelter. Like it was just in that fucking dirty shed. And I remember just like tearing apart the bags and looking for my phone, and then I asked them to look inside to their own drawers and like the private areas, and they said they couldn't find it. And I was just so irritated, but at the same time, it's like, what can I do? Like, I'm living in a shelter. I'm already beaten to the point where people, like, don't respect me enough that one of the employees, and I'm specifically going to keep reaching out Rebecca, because afterwards I heard people start saying that she had an iPhone 6 Plus with a fixed screen sometime afterwards. So with that said, whether or not it was you or Rebecca, I'm just letting you know you really didn't do your due diligence. And by the way, found out you don't work there anymore. You now, I believe it's you work for CAS Telecommunications, constantly hearing people getting calls about how they abuse their kids. Yeah, clearly, because remember I told you guys I was 18, so I was transitioning from a full-fledged teen to an adult. So with that said, I barely would still consider myself even an adult at that point. So you get a lifetime of hearing how shitty people treat young adults or kids, and serves you fucking right, because it doesn't seem like you knew how to take care of a goddamn person in that shelter anyways, clearly. So do you want to hear how it still affects me today? Of course I still owed that money, and it went to the crediting agency, and what happened? My credit got lower. So anytime I needed to look for an apartment, very difficult, need a co-signer, and ended up having to live with people that I absolutely did not want to have to live with, because the only time you could actually find a place is if you're co-signing with someone. So to this day, I'm actively working on my credit, and I still haven't reached a point where I know that they would even let me have an apartment or something like that. So it's like, how ironic that a homeless shelter would make me more homeless. Because technically, if I'm not in this beautiful, fortunate situation where my parents would let me live with them, and that's just where I live right now, I would literally be homeless right now because of a shelter that was supposed to protect me. So thank you for staying with the story. Please bump up the views because honestly, this is one story that I would love for anyone to see because like I would love for it to get back to them. But honestly, I manifest that anyways. Like I know that I just manifest that anyways. They will see me one day. I know my intrinsic value. You definitely know what that word means because you watched my last vlog. Hey. So thank you for joining me. I hope you guys all have an excellent day. Iris L is out. I love doing that. Iris L is out. I'm gonna be out. I'm going out. Oh, and guys, I know you guys forgave me for the nail still. Because honestly, I am someone who's trying to catch up with my vlogs. So with that said, I 100% am spending today just vlogging. Look at these. Oh, la, 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 la. I spent today choosing to film. I made a couple of topics, so I picked like 3 of the ones that I wanted to talk about most. But obviously I was like, honey, I switch up the clothes because like, I don't know, I'll tell you guys my secrets for no reason at all, right? I mean, I'm supposed to make it look like it's different days, but like, whatever. I told you guys in my last vlog that I was gonna do my nails tomorrow, so I actually mean that. Like, I'm not gonna allow myself to do this for an etc. amount of days. So, I'm doing quite a bit of filming today. Quite a bit of filming today. I know you guys still forgive me. Why did I do that? Why do I expose myself like that?